Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I missed you last week. It was fun watching it from the other side, but it's kind of fun to be up here and get to chat with you. So I'm back. Did you miss me? You know, it's been so much fun for me to see Marisa, Carolyn, Michelle, Jerry, everybody on camera. I've got to get Shell and Anna in here, get them on camera too. It's probably fun for you because you get to see the teachers, know who you've been working with while you're in class. They spend most of their day with you in basic floral design online, advanced floral design online, the fundamentals online, the wedding boot camp online, the challenge, and then the rest of the time they're in the classroom. Today, Shell's in the classroom. There's a fabulous class going on Bespo garden style design. And then tomorrow, Jerry and Michelle will be in the classroom with our wedding trends and techniques. It's going to be so much fun. And then the next day, Carolyn and Marisa are in the classroom finishing up with the wedding trends and techniques. Then Saturday and Sunday, I'm back in the classroom doing the Entrepreneurs Weekend with Michelle. And then off and running again. The first quarter is just so crazy busy and so much fun flowering. Now, last week, you were gearing up, getting crazy, getting ready for Valentine's Day. Seems like a distant memory now, but you were just finishing up all your preparation for Valentine's Day. So that's going to be my question to start you out, because I know many of you were working on Valentine's Day. And my question to you, and it might have to be a guess, you might not know an exact number, but how many orders did you fill this Valentine's Day? It was a good Valentine's Day for most people that I've talked to. Graduates are reporting in that they were crazy busy. So my question to you is, how many orders did you have for this Valentine's Day? And then make sure you let people know where you're from. Hi, I'm Leanne. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I did 0 Valentine orders. But what are your numbers and story? And that way you can all start to get to know each other. Housekeeping, remember, if you're on your phone, turn it sideways for bigger. If it's buffering a little slowly, sometimes if you restart, that can help. If you're on your computer, go full screen. If you're on your TV on YouTube, you've got big screen. And we've got it all together. Today, elements and principles. And elements and principles are the backbone of everything we teach. So every time you come into the classroom, every time you touch any flower, and you can see we've got beautiful things to work with, the only rules that you have to deal with are the elements and the principles. In a quick summary, there's 5 elements: form, space, texture, line, and color. And then there are 7 principles: contrast, harmony, emphasis, rhythm, unity, balance, and scale. Those 12 concepts cover absolutely everything. So if you are designing in foam, you've got the same elements and principles. You just do it. If you're going foam free and designing with floral netting, it's the elements and principles. Exact same thing. I'll go ahead and tape this in so that it's ready to work with. If you are looking at alternative mechanics, maybe something with a taped grid. I don't know if you can see that very well on camera, but there's a taped grid going across the vase to give myself an armature to design into. Okay? Same elements and principles. No changes. If you're working with the foil netting in a hand-tied bouquet, same thing. If you're not using any mechanics like that, maybe you're doing a foliage weave or a spiral and you're just tying it off with raffia, same elements and principles. If you missed it, yesterday's Tulip Tribe tip was all about organizing and storing your raffia. And you know, if you've had raffia headaches like I have, where it just gets to be this huge tangled mess and you finally throw it away and then get mad at yourself, you'll want to go back. You can find it on YouTube. If you just go into YouTube and you can see the Tulip Tuesday raffia tip, so that'll be there. It even works the same elements and principles if you're doing something unique. like the mechanics using this armature. So lots of different things that can be done with all the same elements and principles. So I'm going to design and kind of walk through the things that we teach in the classroom and online. We start you with these concepts because then it doesn't matter what style you work with. If you want to be Bespo, you can. If you want to be linear, you can. If you want to be casual, country, cottage, whatever terminology you want, it's all the same. It doesn't matter. So while I pull some flowers out here, Marisa, Carolyn, Michelle, I have a full house with me today. We've got Michelle, Carolyn, and Marisa in the studio, and they will be telling me your questions and passing on your information. And then online, we have Caledonia and Susie. So there is 5 in the background plus me, and I think David's online as well. So this is a party. The Tulip Tribe collaboration is on. So what questions, thoughts, comments? Who's out there?
I have a lot of Tulip members out there. I see Catherine and Karen, Diana, Diane, Karen, Vicky, Renee, Donna, Iwa, Brooke, Jim, and then we have Inde, who's watching from Thailand, and Bernadette from Dublin.
Oh, wow. So Thailand and Dublin and the U.S. and Canada. We've got people all over. Michelle, what do you have?
Well, Arthur in Houston started happy hour early today. He's having a glass of wine while he watches.
Oh, Arthur, I am jealous. But you know what? It's only 3 o'clock here. I think I have to wait a little bit longer. Plus, I need to talk to you all. So I'll stick with my coffee while you enjoy your wine because you're right. Happy hour, it's that time. And after Valentine's, you deserve happy hour, definitely.
And then I also want to do a shout out to Laura. She was really happy when her Facebook dinged to let her know that you were live.
So I'm dingy? Is that it? I dingy? Oh my gosh, yeah. I've been called dingy before. That's probably some reality to that, but oh well. Okay. Anything else going on out there before I start poking some flowers here?
Mike Hollenbeck said they did 1,015 bouquets on Valentine's Day.
Oh, Mike, my goodness, you were crazy busy. Mike's in Idaho, and every summer, well, most summers, he comes over this direction because he's involved with baseball. And all of a sudden, Mike will be standing on my doorstep, and it's so much fun to see him. But over 1,000 orders. Okay, people, how many did you do? So those are the extremes. Leanne did 0. Mike did over 1,000. I'm going to assume most of us are somewhere in the middle there. So how many did you do? Fill me in.
Donna actually just chimed in and said, let's see, she did over 40 plus a funeral.
Oh, wow. I did see that many of our graduates had weddings and funerals along with Valentine's Day, which that's a lot of work. It's a lot of flowers, definitely. Now, when I work with my elements and principles, I even start with the foliage, thinking about my elements and my principles. So I'm going to start with 2 fascia leaves, terraced, to draw the eye inward. And what this is doing is it's starting to build a focal emphasis, add impact at the base, creating a horizontal line coming out to the opposite side, and begins a color, because it's got green in there. Then I can go back with other foliages, maybe bring a little bit of pittosporum upwards. Maybe a little bit of leather fern. And with leather fern, oftentimes I give it a little more contemporary vibe by stripping it down and then using it a little more angled and minimal, just for a little different look. And yes, that means you're wasting a lot, but doesn't that make it look interesting? Gives it a more up-to-date appearance. So as I'm working, if any of you have questions, type them in. If you have comments, add them in there. If you have anything you'd like to share with the tribe, because Carolyn, Marisa, and Michelle are manning the computers. You know, it's kind of like the old telethons where, you know, the telephones are being manned, call in now. But now we do it on a computer, and so we've got everybody here waiting to hear from you. So now I have a vertical line, and then a line coming into the center and a line coming in. So I've created a central binding point, kind of off to the back a bit, but everything's going into a central point that they can then extend and grow. And I've created just a base to start my arrangement. I've added a form. It's going to be triangular. I have space between things. Don't have a lot of texture yet because I have a smooth leaf, a little bit of a ruffly feel, but I definitely need more texture. Got my lines, I've got green, so there is a color there, but I really haven't set the color harmony yet. By using the 3 different foliages to start, I've got a principal contrast in there. So every time you add something, you start creating more of the elements and principles. So there's a starting point on that one. Now, if I wanted to work with the floral netting, maybe something a little more casual, there's absolutely no problem if I decide I want to be carefree and round. It will still have all the elements and principles. So I could start with a piece of the Italian ruscus, bring it around, and actually force it in here to help hold it. I'm actually weaving it through the handle because that gives me a natural mechanic to hold it in place. And I'm just adding a nested feel to the foliage so that I have a nice base. So at this point, I'm establishing some form, but I haven't really expanded on the elements and principles yet. So I've got form in here. Maybe I'll bring this one under and over this way, just weaving and winding. There we go. Now my form is round. I could come back with a little bit of the leather fern.
Leanne.
Yes, ma'am.
You're gonna love this, and I love this too. So Maggie, who is an online student of ours, for Valentine's Day, her husband actually went out and bought single stems and cuttings from their yard, and he designed a bouquet for her.
Oh, Maggie, that's so romantic. That's a good man. You know, sometimes people are afraid to give florists flowers, but the reality is we're florists because we love flowers. So please give us flowers. That's really important. I know David is always finding flowers for me. It just makes me so happy. And it's a good thing.
And then did you mention that you were using pittosporum?
I did have some pittosporum in this design. So this is the pittosporum, then leather fern and fatsia, creating my form, space, and line. Now I'm working on form, and I used Italian ruscus, leather fern, and I'll go ahead and use a little bit of pittosporum in this one as well. When you come to flower school, we try to show you with as many different foliages as possible, and then we encourage you to look around your area, maybe your yard, your neighbor's yard, your neighbor's yard, to see what you can forage for. Maybe you can grow things that you would design with. So many of our students are now flower farmers as well as designers, and so learning to use items that will grow in your area. Plus that gets it definitely local, which is so on trend. And when you take your online classes, the basic, the advanced, the wedding, any of them, we give you recipes so that you can understand how that works, but we encourage you to think about what you have in your own area and how you want to work with it. So now you can see I've got a rounded form, and I have a variety of textures coming in, and I've got a little space. You can see space in between. But I don't have a major line in this. And that's one thing to think about with round is oftentimes line is not a prominent element. It just is there. Or it may be even absence of line, so that it's multiple radiating lines that create the form, but you don't really see a dramatic line like you do in this one, where it's definitely, this is my vertical movement, and this one just has a flowing movement. So you can do it either way. If I wanted to work in the grid, bring in a little bit of salal.
Leanne, I have a few numbers for you.
Oh, let's hear. What did they do? I want to know.
Okay, so Tammy, she said although she's in a small town, she did 212. And then Zamara did 275. Karen says approximately 170. And then also Donna, in addition to the 40 and the funeral that they did a wedding consultation as well.
Oh my gosh. You people were busy. I bet Valentine's night you were exhausted, just probably wanting to not say anything to anybody, just put your feet up and hopefully find somebody to massage them for you, and maybe a hand massage, and just sit with your favorite beverage and be numb, because it is exhausting, so exhausting.
And then also Jennifer, who is a newer online student of ours, she just said she went in her backyard and found like 5 salal bushes and wants to thank Michelle from last week to encourage foraging.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, what do you have
And
there?
then to top, that's perfect segue into this question. When foraging, what do you do about potential bugs that might be in your product?
Well, yes, there is that, the bug issue. Definitely you want to forage thinking about that. And then before you design with it, wash it. You might dip it. If you've got a big bucket of water, just kind of dip it up and down. You know, we do that sometimes with peonies to make sure they don't have ants in them, because, you know, if you're buying commercial, they're not. But if you're harvesting at home, oftentimes peonies have ants because of all the sugar. And if you dip them up and down inside just a bucket of water, then any of the ants kind of get out and drown. But oh well, poor ant. But yeah, you want to be a little cautious, because when you forage, you can have some critters that come home with you, and you've got to watch that, because people aren't going to be real happy if you give them critters in their arrangement. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing.
And then also, Beatrice, I love to say this, and she has to hear me say this, but her last name is Dippy, but every time I say Beatrice Dippy!
Yay!
She's on with us, and she's also a new online student, and she's working on her E's and P's right now.
I love it. So the elements and principles are everything. You know, really, you don't have to, you know, way back a long time ago, the teaching was all rules. Like you never did an even number. You always did 2 to 2.5 times. You never mixed a tropical flower with a garden flower. You know, you always had this no, 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 no. And you got kind of restricted, and it wasn't as much fun because there were so many rules. And you know what? That's not the way we teach any longer, and that's just not the way that people design. We have a much more freer appreciation for flowers, and everybody has their own styles. And I added some aspidistra leaves, and I didn't tell you that. So I added aspidistra, and then they were a little bit too big for this arrangement. So one of them I rolled and then placed it in. So the foliage manipulation like we teach in the advanced class. And then the other 2, I just split and narrowed it down so that they were smaller. And it just tears beautifully. And that way I can put it in and it's not nearly as overwhelming. Now, even though I've done this all sided and rounded, notice how I created a line coming into the focal emphasis area and then a line coming back out. So the emphasis will be here. I have a form, I have space, I have line. Still have no color because I haven't got to the flowers yet. So while I gather some flowers, Marisa, Michelle, Carolyn, what's going on?
So I have a question from Susan on Facebook. Okay, so she has taken levels 1, 2, and 3 basic floral design in Calgary, and wants to know if she would need to start with the basic floral design or if she can go directly into the advanced class.
You can go directly into the advanced if you have certificate already, or if you have 500 hours working in a store. You can go straight to advanced floral design. If you are looking to become a certified floral designer with us, and then maybe go on to the American Institute of Floral Designers to get your CFD, the international designation there. You would need to complete the challenge for the basic. So it's basically you test out so that we can prove that you did know your basics. So you take the challenge online, then you do your advanced studies, and that would earn you the certified floral designer status, and it qualifies you then to test with the American Institute of Floral Designers so that you can get your CFD. So you get dual certification. It's pretty fabulous. Works out really well.
And then, what do you think about this? So, Penny, let's see, had retired after 40 years in the trade, just had a year off and about to jump back in. She's like, am I mad?
You know, no, I don't think so. And in fact, I would say this is one of the best times to be going into floral design. Flowers are important now. How things go in phases, and sometimes it's more important than others. And right now, people are wanting flowers in their home. They're understanding the therapeutic properties, the lifestyle benefits. And so being a florist, there's ample people buying flowers. Plus then flowers coming into us are better than they've ever been. We're getting so many great, great products. And more farmers. You can buy local from local farmers. You can import worldwide. We've got so many choices now that being a florist is pretty grand. And then there's so much variety in being a florist. In fact, I was just making some new notes to update our Floral Entrepreneurs Weekend this coming Saturday, Sunday. And the job categories with plants is so greatly expanded. And they call them plant stylists or plant curators, and many florists are adding plants to their spectrum. And there was an article in the New York Times about plant stylists. One of them, her absolute minimum for any order is $2,000. Oh my. The other one is $150 to $175 an hour for his time to come in and style your plants. So that's a great add-on for florists if you know your floral work, and then you can also have the knowledge of plants, which is a whole nother thing. You still need knowledge for that. But how cool is that? So now I'm gathering some things. I'm thinking about my color harmonies, because color is one of the elements. And one harmony would be a triad. So a triad would be 3 colors equally spaced on the color wheel. So it could be green, orange, and violet would give you a triad color harmony. So that's one that I could do. I could do a complementary harmony, and complementary can be red and green. So all of you that did Valentine's, oh my gosh, how many red and green things did you do? Yeah, red and green, complementary color harmony, Valentine's 101. It was there. Oh, I don't think I want to do that. I'm kind of tired of red roses right now, so I think I'm going to kind of skip that one. That one just kind of like, no. I could do monochromatic. Monochromatic would be tints, tones, and shades of one color. So if I wanted to bring in the purple again.
Leanne, if someone has their CFD already, could they still come and take the advanced class?
Yes, in fact, you'd love it, definitely. The advanced class was just updated and expanded to where it's got all the latest new equipment, tools, techniques, styles, it's all included. And then the teachers that are running that for you, Carolyn, Michelle, and Marisa, and myself, are all either certified or AIFD. So you've got a really strong team working with you on that, so that you know that you're going to be able to go far. And I find that if you have a little bit of experience, you actually just go further because you know the questions to ask and you know how to fill in the blanks. So there we have a monochromatic. There we have a triad. So that's 2 designs. Then for the other, let me think here. Maybe I'll do something. got some pretty little dendrobium orchids. Okay. And some eryngium, so blues to purples, maybe even on into a little bit of burgundy. So now I'm looking at analogous. So analogous would be a blending of colors, so it's a pie section of the color wheel. So when we study with flower school, we use a color wheel so that you can really learn how your colors work, and you can figure out, okay, a triad is orange, green, violet, and complementary would be red and green. Analogous would be the blues to the purples. And you learn all that. Because once you master your colors, you can do so much. So much. Pretty fabulous. So let's kind of make this some room so that I can do the designing without everything being on top of each other. So I'm going to scooch some things around a little bit. And then I'm going to do in this one the monochromatic, tints, tones, and shades of one color. I have started it being somewhat all the way around with a bit of a horizontal line. Then I'm going to enhance the focal emphasis, one of the principles, bringing in the kale, reflexing, giving it more power. And while I'm doing this, feel free to shout out questions or comments. How many more arrangements have we heard about out there?
I don't have too many numbers here. However, I do want to do a shout out to Robin, who shared this video to her friends saying this is a great person to watch. So if anyone out there knows of someone that would enjoy this video, share the video.
Thank you, Marisa. I forgot to ask people to do that. Please share this out. We'd love to have as big a crowd as possible to let them know about the elements and principles of design and to learn more about the Floral Design Institute. Plus, the more the merrier, I always say. You know, you have a party, you want to have a lot of people to create that energy and have some fun. Michelle.
We have a first-time viewer from Lima, Peru.
Oh, you got her.
Shayla is with us, and she says hello.
Hey, Shayla. Thanks for joining us. First time from Peru. That's pretty exciting. I have to brag a minute, we are having our holiday party. We always do our party late in the year because, after the holidays, because you don't have time to have a party during the holidays because you're working. So we're having our holiday party at a Peruvian restaurant on Saturday, and they have such grand food. Mama Doris is from Peru, duh, and her chef is from Peru, and they have such delicious food. So welcome to you from Peru, and we'll be dining in your style on Saturday.
Then we have a new first-time viewer on YouTube. Her name is Ruth. She just discovered us this evening and turned on the channel.
Excellent. Okay, Ruth, welcome. Get to know everybody, and all of you YouTubers and Facebookers, as you see each other, and especially the newbies, welcome them, get to know them, because this is a collaboration with all of us. It's not just me. You all are part of it, and getting to know each other, you then build your tribe so that you may discover that you have a flower friend next door or around the world, which is pretty great. Is Birga on with us today from Iceland? Has anybody seen her yet?
I haven't seen her yet. However, Loretta and the BLT girls are here, and she actually said you're never too old to do floral design.
That is true. Loretta is, I won't say how old, but she has done flowers with us, and the BLT girls are bring love to the tables. And they did flowers every week for a retirement home so that there were always flowers at the table. How great is that? Marisa.
Okay, so we have Harmony on with us, who is a past graduate of ours, and I think there may be a little typo here, so I just want to re-say the question. So she said that she used kale in an arrangement and it started to stick real bad, but I think she may mean stink real bad. So I just want to see if that's what she means, and maybe we can, I don't really find kale sticky, but
But I bet it did stink because kale, when it gets old, is obnoxious. You can only use it when it's fresh, and then it's only going to be fabulous for about 5 days because as it ages, it gets quite rank. It's pretty disgusting. It's like the old baby's breath. If you remember back to the baby's breath of the 70s and early 80s, when it was really just awful, it would smell so bad when it came in. The new baby's breath is so much better. It's been bred to where it doesn't have that horrible stinky odor and it doesn't rot as quickly. The old baby's breath used to get just slimy, stinky, icky, ooh, every bad word you can possibly think of. And kale can do that too. It does better if you keep it with very fresh water. It's the water that gets stinky sometimes from being around it. So yes, that is very true. Carolyn.
And I want to give a shout out to Sharon. She just finished basic on January 31st, went to work for a flower shop for 7 days. During Valentine's, did arrangements, but a ton of processing and greening.
Wow, good job, Sharon. You know, that's the thing about flower school. Once you join us, you can go and get a job so quickly. Although many of our graduates don't get jobs, they open their own businesses. And you can do it either way. It's really up to you. I encourage you to work in a flower shop for a little while at least, simply because there will be things you learn there about how you function in a flower shop. And you can say, I like this, or, ooh, I really don't like that, or, gee, I wish, blah, blah, blah. And it just helps you to figure out exactly where you fit in the world of flowers, because there's so many different job opportunities out there that it's really important to figure out which one is yours, so that you have a career that brings you happiness and joy and really enhances your life. So it really works out well. Now I'm adding a little bit of heather to my monochromatic, and you'll notice I use the liatris to create a line coming up through the center, kale to bring in the focal emphasis, Lysianthus to fill out, and now I'm enhancing my lines on the sides that I started with the aspidistra by bringing in the heather, which adds texture, more contrast, more interest, all the things that help you build towards harmony in the design. So again, all the elements and principles just brought in. My line is a little crooked here. Let's get the line straightened up here, Kessler. Come on. May have to add another piece of foliage in there to get, there we go. Now it's going to be a straight line. I wanted my line to stay straight in there so you can see how it's all coming together. And then maybe adding some contrast with my line, adding a little bit of lily grass. I'm a huge fan of lily grass. Bear grass, lily grass. You know, I always maintain if you had grasses, Fatsia and Galix, you could green the world. It's just like they are my most favorite things and they're so wonderful. So just dropping this down in, adding some movement. The doorbell's ringing. Oh my gosh, they want us. Who came to visit? Somebody stopped by to visit the flower school. Michelle, what you got?
I have a couple things. We have another first-time visitor on YouTube, Glenda from Tennessee. And then we have a couple orchid-related questions. Well, one was a request. Egbert from Bolivia would love to see you do something with Cattleya orchids, as so would I, since he brought it up.
Ooh.
And Marmac bought a new style of orchid to try. It's a dendrobium variety. But all of her top buds are dropping off, and she's wondering what she's done wrong.
Okay, Cattleya, I would love to do that. I may have to do that. We're filming some new things for wedding classes right now, so that we may just have to include a Cattleya in there, because that would be pretty perfect. And you can see adding the lily grass works. Now with the dendrobium variety losing the tips, oftentimes it's cold damage. So if they got too cold in transit, then the buds just start dropping off and you'll just see them kind of shrivel up and turn into nothing. So it could be that. but that would probably be my guess, is cold damage. And so knowing your supplier, knowing that you're getting fresh product and that it has not been, stored at too low a temperatures, that's probably what you got to watch for. Okay, so there is basically all-sided round arrangement, but it includes the elements and principles. The form, kind of an oval triangle, space so you can enjoy each flower, textures, the line through the center, my color monochromatic, contrast between rough and smooth and light and dark, creating harmony throughout, the emphasis coming in with the kale. Rhythm is done through repetition. So by repeating the lily grass in different areas creates more rhythm in the design. Unity, does everything go together? With the perfect blue vase, I think it kind of works out well. It gives it unity even from the container to the flowers. And then balance is that it's centered in the container, it's not going to tip. And then scale is that the proportion is correct. So I have all 12 elements and principles included in this design. So while I pull out another, Marisa, Michelle?
Yeah, so shout out to Alicia for also sharing this video. And okay, let's see here. I would like to ask Cheryl, who is a past FDI past graduate. I believe this was her first Valentine's Day. I wonder how it went. But for you, Leanne, for Karen, as far as water level goes on a vase, how do you know when to fill or overfill? Because you can't, it's so hard to see inside.
Filling a vase with water, it's a tough call and it's a judgment call. So I'm not going to give you an absolute answer, but I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Much like we do in the classroom, many times we'll give you our thoughts and teach you to use foam, and then we'll teach you to use no foam so that you know the techniques and you can make a decision as to what is appropriate for your style of design. With water in a vase, the higher the water level, the longer the flowers will have water because they're going to drink it, it's going to go down. And oftentimes the consumer won't add water. So by adding a lot of water in the vase, you're going to have it last longer as it drinks. It's kind of cool and on trend to use a big vase with just a little bit of water in the bottom so you see the water line. That can be pretty and it can be an aesthetic technique. But then it's going to drink down and all of a sudden you're going to be out of water. I can remember I bought some ranunculus and took them home. And ranunculus prefer less water. They don't like a lot of water in the vessel. They'll rot. And so I had put shallow water and then they died. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had bought them from a local farmer. I thought, I'm going to have to tell them that their flowers are dying. This is really awful. They shouldn't have died. So I went to pull them out of the vase. I thought, oh, there's no water in there. And so they died because I didn't give them the water. So there's that catch-22 as to how much water to put in. Really depends on the situation and the flower. So I don't have the perfect answer for you.
Okay, so what about this question for Jim? So, is there a particular color scheme for funeral flowers? Jim's been seeing a variety online, but is not sure if it is or what is appropriate.
Funeral flowers vary a lot by culture. And so you would want to know the cultural significance of the colors and then the people in your area. For some, white is a color of death. And you only use white for sympathy in funeral flowers. For others, it's very important that red be involved, because that shows love. For some, purple is very important because it's a royal color. In today's world, where a lot of people don't know these cultural significance and points, they just pick the colors that that person liked. So they say, oh, she always loved pink. Let's do pink with blah, 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 blah. Or, gee, the casket is blue. Let's coordinate to the casket. So there is not a right or wrong in sympathy work except for cultural and religious practices. So that's where you would have to find out what is in your area and understand your people as opposed to there being a right or wrong. Boy, we've got lots of visitors. There goes the doorbell again. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thanks for joining us. You know, we love visitors. I always keep the coffee pot on so that you can stop and visit. So, bringing in some protea now. And while I place this, Michelle, what do you have there?
Well, Jennifer wanted to know what your tip was on hydrogen peroxide. She missed that last week. And everybody's chatting about, thank you, it was wonderful, saved my hands.
Hydrogen peroxide is your friend. That is so true. I'm turning this to face me so I get my lines exactly correct. So I apologize for that. When you're working linear, sometimes it's hard to work backwards. So I wanted to make sure I got them in there correctly. Hydrogen peroxide, when you're working, especially Valentine's Day, with all those roses and all those thorns and such, your hands get so sore and just, oh, it hurts. And so if you take hydrogen peroxide and put it into a vessel, I use a Tupperware type container, heat that in your microwave till it's warm, and then just set your hand in that container. And it will bubble and tingle, and that bubbling and tingling is the impurities being drawn out of your hand. And it'll get to the point where you just can't take it anymore because it tingles so much. So you pull them out, dry it off, and just kind of calm down. And then when you're ready, put them back in. And then when it tingles too much, pull them out, dry them off. And then using a lotion to, I use Porter's salve, but some sort of lotion to hydrate your hands. And it does work so much better. That was in our Valentine live. So yes, that was fun. Definitely. Those little tips that make your life easier, because your hands, they need all the help you can get. So now I've done orange and violet, so I have 2/3 of a triad, and I'm bringing in some of the orange roses underneath the orange protea, kind of lifting my leaves and making room so that I can slide it in here, because I want to create some depth, drawing the color downward and getting your eye into the base of the design. And then also bringing your eye around towards the back. So letting the roses come in, creating a oops, I made that too long. Making a horizontal line front to back. So your elements and principles can be the main, throwing flowers everywhere. The main line, and then also accent lines that guide your eye through the arrangement and also help to cover the mechanics. I'm just bringing in the orange roses down at the base here, pulling your eye from front to back. And I do love these orange roses. These are just exquisite. Aren't those grand? Ah, what a great color. They just make me happy. They are a happy color. Now I'll turn this so you can see that horizontal line going from front to back in the arrangement. So I've done sort of a pave coming through. I could even add a little bit more over here.
Leanne, is there any possible way you can tell Tracy when the tip on the mum sleeves, that video, do you know how far back that is?
Okay, so I can tell you how to find these. What you guys are talking about, the mum sleeves was a Tulip Tuesday. Every Tuesday we send just a short little tip that's very timely, something that has to do with the season. And the mum sleeves was for organizing your grasses. And that one, it's not very old, so it's going to be relatively quickly. But if you go to YouTube, go to the Flower School channel on YouTube. So go to YouTube, Flower School, you'll find us. And then type in the search Tulip Tuesday, and it will bring up all of those so you can see all the tips. Or if you're looking for one specific, you could type in organizing grasses, and then it'll bring up that specific video. But yes, the Tulip Tuesdays are so grand, and we do leave them up on YouTube so that you can access them later without any problem. Now I'm coming in and pavéing with little tiny green buttons. And what this is doing is finishing my triad so that I have the orange, green, violet. Now the foliage also brings in green, but by doing the chrysanthemums, it gives me a bolder, brighter chartreuse green that really makes the orange and violet pop. So it just enhances the color harmony.
Okay, Leanne, so Cheryl, again, who's a past FDI graduate. Okay, so this was her first Valentine's Day. She did 50 arrangements, then had two, bless her heart, had 2 high school dances on the 13th, and didn't hire help. The husband was a champion delivery man.
50 orders plus dances. Oh my gosh. Thank God for friends, spouses, parents, all of our people that help us out on these busy days. I was talking to one graduate who she was so crazy busy. It was just insane. And one of her girlfriends just showed up every day with food. You know, because just feeding yourself gets to be so complicated and hard. And every day her friend would show up with food. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, that is a good friend. That is somebody we all need in our life. Somebody that just helps us take care of ourselves. Okay, so now I've got a little hole over here that needs more. And I think I might go ahead with some of the hypericum because that'll give a little darker orange, but still go with everything. Removing the leaves because I want just the berries.
And Leanne, do you have any suggestions for Margaret? She's asking about small arrangements that include candles for a dinner party. Is that something that you have a video on, or?
Yes, there are several. If you go to, you could probably do it on YouTube or just do it on our website, flowerschool.com. If you go to the video resource library and then just type in candles, and it will bring up every video that we've done that has candles in it. So there's probably something there that will speak to you and give you some inspiration so that you can then design something for your dinner party. So it's under myflowerschool.com and then resources. Then in the search, put in candle and you'll have it all right there. So now you can see by adding the hypericum to the side, it balances the leather fern to the side. So I've enhanced the elements and principles by adding balance to the design. And then the other thing I could do is add some dynamic line. When we teach in the advanced class, we deal a lot with the different types of lines, be it static, dynamic, implied, directional. There's so many different lines. In basic, we just focus on line. And then in advanced, we go much further into the different types of lines. And I can take this and bring it, let's see, which way do I want to go? I have to think about this a second. I think I'll go that way.
Getting that, Leanne, shout out, well, not shout out, but anyways, I think you say, is it Anoka? She's from Glasgow, Scotland, and says thank you for a very clear explanation of the elements and principles.
You're welcome. That's something that we do really well at the Floral Design Institute is the elements and principles, because it's really the core of what you have to have. If you've got your elements and principles, you've got everything. And that's really the most important thing to me, is that when you learn with us, when you're done, you don't need us anymore because you understand the hows and the whys. And so once you master elements and principles, then you can do absolutely anything because the rules pertain to any style, any design, any choice that you have, and it really allows you to have creative freedom. So yes, we work very hard as a staff to really know that we can give you what you need. So now I took my lily grass and I put a wood pick on one end, then I'm bringing it up and over and then inserting it in, creating dynamic movement, adding dynamic line to the arrangement so that it's more interesting than it was with just static lines. So I'm going to bring this one down over here. There we go. And giving it a little bit more flair. So it's just a little creative movement. So I have static lines, I have dynamic lines, I've got my focal emphasis, got my balance, all the things that you learn in basic and advanced, so that it gives you the power. Now, the elements and principles, one of the reasons, well, not, I guess one of the reasons, but the main reason that everything we do is teaching to elements and principles is that if you do choose to go on and work with AIFD to get your certification through them as well, the American Institute of Floral Designers, everything that they work with is based on elements and principles of design. So if you start with elements and principles and you master those, it'll be far easier to end with elements and principles because you started there, you master it, you learn it, and it makes it so that it's easier then when you go on to continue your education in any format. Plus, if you add plant styling, it's the same elements and principles. If you add interior decor consultations and such, same elements and principles. There's no difference, and it just is a matter of which medium you're using with the elements and principles to allow you to express beauty through creative elements. If you make jewelry, same elements and principles. If you paint, if you knit, if you're a ceramicist, it's all the same. Elements and principles rule the world. And so learning the 12 concepts, which we teach in the basic design class and the advanced design class, and the designing for competition evaluation for people that are getting ready to test for the American Institute of Floral Designers, it's all right there. And our students do really well because that's what we start you with from the very first day of class. You are dealing with elements and principles at the very, very beginning. And that way there's no surprises. You can just do great with it. I'm tucking in Orangium now to get a little bit of a texture going. Sometimes I start with color, sometimes I start with texture. Really depends on the design. And Orangium has this beautiful blue-gray color, and then the texture adds so much interest. I'm cleaning off the leaves because they're a little bit yucky, and then just tucking it into the floral netting. So far I've used foam, I've used a taped grid, and now I'm doing floral netting. I've done monochromatic, and I've done triadic. I've used different flowers, and it's still all the same rules. It makes it so much fun. Adding in the dendrobium.
Leanne, Annalise is wanting to know if there is an advanced wedding class.
We are working on it right now. So Annalise, yes, it's coming, and it won't be too much longer. It's kind of exciting. We were just talking about that and putting our calendar together. It's like, okay, how do we get this finished? We got to get it done. And then I was talking to Caledonia because she does all of the entry into the student portfolios to make sure that everything's ready to go so that when you sign up, we push the button and then in you go, which is pretty exciting. So yes, it's coming. I can't give you an exact date yet, but it is a priority that we're working on because we are demanding it and you deserve it. And it's like, Leanne, get your act together. And Michelle and I were just chatting, and Marisa and Carolyn and I, it's like, okay, so we're going to need this, 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 and this. We've got to have this, 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 and this. And so, yes, it's coming together. So Annalise, it won't be too much longer, I promise. And it'll be available online so that you can take it anywhere in the world. And it will be totally self-paced, like all of our programs. Everything we do is self-paced, accessible 24/7, accessible from any device, and easy to navigate. I love, 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 love our student portfolio system because it's really, really user-friendly. So you don't have to worry about, oh, can I do that? You can do it. You got it. Okay. Adding in the carnations down very low to create depth in the design. Adding a little bit different color harmony. And bringing in some more of the orangium.
Leanne, if we can do a shout out to Colleen's husband and daughter, because they were the two that delivered all of the roses in her little Nissan Micra, which was filled to the brim.
Isn't it amazing what you can fit into a vehicle? I used to have a little Honda Civic, and I was amazed at how many flowers I could fit in that Honda Civic. I could deliver a wedding, I could deliver anything. It was just like, oh my gosh. So shout out to Colleen's family, and a shout out to each of you that work so hard for Valentine's, and then a shout out to your support team, because the support team is so important. And we've got Mother's Day coming up, so we know we're all going to need support teams again. So make sure you say thank you to those people that helped you. Make sure that you know that you truly appreciated it. And if you are part of the support team, then start thinking about what can you do best to support your people. Looking for different things here to put in. I just need a little bit more. Kind of see my hole right here? When you're working with elements and principles, you've got to get your balance, you've got to have your line, you've got to have your textures, your colors, and then sometimes when you're done you go, oh, there's a hole. I need something right here. And you've got to figure it out, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to put there? And so I'm kind of wandering around the studio now going, well, what am I going to put there? And I found it. Okay? So I've got just a couple minutes. So if you've got questions, ask away. If you haven't shared the video yet, would you mind doing so? Please share it out. Tag a friend. Spread the word. Let people know that our classes will prepare you for a career with flowers. We get so many people calling in right now looking to hire our students, and we don't have enough students to fill the job demand. They need help because Mother's Day is coming. And so if you can help us to make sure that everybody knows about us and that they can take classes, get ready for employment in a flower shop or doing their own business, we include that in our programs. So share it out, tag a friend, sign up for flower school. That's what we really want. We want you to come join us. And while I finish these last pieces and turn it and look at it and see what I'm missing, Marisa, Carolyn, Michelle, anything else I need to know?
Shout out to Laura that just gave us a really great shout out. She is saying that the school is absolutely amazing and has never gotten so much information that she's learned from anywhere else before, and she's just watching this video has given her so much encouragement to take the basic course. Wants to thank us for all of even the free advice that's given, and she is so sure of this institute over any other research she's done so far.
Thank you. You know, we do work hard to be the best, and I do believe education should be available to everyone, and that is why we do have free education. And then we have the Flower Lovers Club, which is just $59.95 for a year. And I want to do a shout out to all my Flower Lovers Club people, because it's because of you that we can do free education. Your support, $59.95 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot, and it allows us to offer free education. And it's important to me that floral education is available to everyone. So we have free, we have the club at $59.95, and then we have the full teacher-supported certification. And that's where, yes, you have to pay for certification, and yes, you have to pay for teacher support, but we have amazing teachers. We've got AIFD teachers, we have CFD teachers, we have FDI teachers, we have PFCI teachers, we have every bit of alphabet soup out there. It just kind of makes me laugh. But we have amazingly fabulous instructors, and the program is grand. So if you can join us, please do. I'd love to have you join me, and then I get to say, welcome to Flower School, because it's pretty exciting to get to join Flower School. So I've got 1 minute. Any last question?
I have a question. Okay, so Karen, she received a vase arrangement in a very short, sounds like a cylinder, okay? And it was taped with a grid. But notice that a lot of the stems didn't go all the way down to the bottom. and it was very hard to keep a lot of water in there. She's asking if it's better to just do it a weave style or a spiral.
You know, and that's something that you have to decide. I can't tell you if it's better or not, but I can tell you that's why we teach you all of them. We teach you the spiral, the weave, the grid, the armature, because you need to be able to make the decision as to what is best for each container and what is best for each set of flowers, because it's always going to vary. It's always a little bit different. That guy's just too long. Don't you see that? It's Leanne. He was too long. So sometimes you got to take it back out and set it back in to get everything in the right spot. What do you think? Do you like? So now we've got a variety of different designs, each one done using the elements and the principles. We've got floral netting, we've got foam, we've got the grid. All of them work. All of them would depend on your customer, your design, your flowers, what you like. And next week, we're going to be doing elements and principles again. So this was elements and principles part 1, talking about the 12 concepts and how they work and how we teach them in the classroom. Next week we'll do part 2. Those of you that are in flower school already, go back and review your elements and principles, because that will give you a head start. And then next week, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the more advanced concepts with the elements and principles. And I'll share with you the mnemonic I use to help me remember them. I didn't tell you that one today, so that'll be my secret. Although if you've been in school, you already know it. And keep it a secret, though. And we'll join it next week and go through it then. So thank you to Caledonia and Susie. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Michelle, Carolyn, Marisa, because you keep me on task. Make sure I get the questions. And thank you to the Tulip Tribe for joining me. It brings me such joy to spend each Wednesday afternoon with you. Again, share this out, sign up for a class, tag a friend, and come play with us next week. See you then.